Okay, what we're going to do today is make an instant filter for a list in SharePoint. What I'm using here is an out-of-the-box task list, and you can see I've put in a few tasks, assigned them to people. They've got some statuses, some predecessors. So we want to add a little search bar up here that filters as we type, so we can filter all of our tasks. We can find everything that's for me, or something like that. So what we're going to do is go into SharePoint Designer, and we're going to go to All Files. And we're in this site, and I've dropped two files here. One is just jQuery. I'm using 1.7.2. And the second one is a blank JavaScript file that I just created. If you go up here and just create a new JavaScript file, I called it instant.js. And then what I've done is I've pasted some code in instant.js. We'll go over this in a second. And then in my master page, in v4 master, I have gone in here and referenced these two JavaScript files. Obviously, this is just a standard way to reference files, and you could do it different ways with SharePoint, but for the sake of this tutorial, I've used the script source tag. So let's go back over to our JavaScript. Let's explore this. What we have here is about 30 lines of code. This first one here, you can get all this code later on my blog, but this first line of code basically just tells us that whenever we're searching, we can ignore the the case. So you can type in lowercase, uppercase, doesn't matter. It's going to search everything. Then on document ready, we're going to do all of this stuff here. First, what we're going to do is we're going to find the web part. And typically when you first put a web part on out-of-the-box standard SharePoint installation page, the web part has an ID of something like this, web part WPQ2. And this is just a list. If you add others, it'll be WPQ3. Basically just use Firebug, something like that, to find out the ID of the web part that you're going to be searching. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to prepend, or right before this web part, we're going to prepend a bunch of HTML right here. You could probably put this somewhere else, but for the sake of this, I've just put it here. And what it is an H3 tag, so it's a header that says instant search, and then an input box, a text box that has a class of search. And you can see I've added some styling to the box. It's important that I keep this class here, though, that way I can find the value of this later. So we've got our box set up to be at the top, and I'm going to show you what this looks like here. So we're going to go over here. It's going to look kind of like this. So there's going to be a search box here with a big gray box. And this is going to be prepended over this list programmatically. Back to SharePoint Designer. So we've got that. We've done our ID. We've got our search box. Next, what we're going to do is call a function on when the input box that has a class of search, anytime that's changed, we're going to call this function. We're going to call everything in here. Now, something else to remember is that not just on change, but also on key up. We're going to add this extra little key up action down here so that it changes. It does all this again anytime you key up. Because on change just means if you change the text box and then you focus your mouse somewhere else, then it'll do it. But we want to do it as we're typing, so we want the key up function on there as well. So with this function, we're going to create a new variable called txt, or whatever you want to call it, and we're going to give it the value of whatever is in the search box at the time of change, or at the time of key up. And then we're going to say if there is something in the search box, so if text has a value, then we're going to do two things. First of all, we're going to find everything in this web part here that we declared up here. We're going to find everything in a cell that does not contain this stuff. So if you type in hello, it's going to find everything that doesn't contain the word hello, and then it's going to go to its parent row. Now, just to clarify a bit further, I've given it this class, or I've selected this class that SharePoint adds. We're going to find its parent row, and we're going to hide that row. That's it. And then we're going to find everything that does contain the value of text. We're going to find that row and show that row. And then we've got an else statement here that says if there's no text variable, if the text variable is empty, meaning if we've just loaded the page or if we've erased everything in the text box, that's important, then we find every row and we show everything. And really, that's it. So let's go over to our Internet Explorer and let's test it out. So I'm going to look for, I want to find just this row here, Christmas presents. So I'm going to start typing C Okay, it already starts filtering H, and there we go, Christmas. Now if we want to find anything that's related to this task here, another test task, you can see this is also a predecessor, so it's going to actually search both of these columns. We're going to say another. That's bringing up both of these tasks because it's both the primary task and its predecessor. So that's pretty the basic way to do an instant search using jQuery and SharePoint. Enjoy!